That was my short-lived career as an observer. Also, still waiting for that invoice, but that's all good. Anyways, let's get it on, guys. On the top left side of Death Aura, we're looking at the main base of our Canadian Zerg player. It is Scarlett.
And down at the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have the blue Zerg player from Psystorm Gaming. It is Silky.
I also want to mention quickly that if you guys at home somehow did not have enough PvZ yet for the day, I believe that Neep versus Firefox is currently happening. And Rafi, I don't know how much you know about Firefox, but I actually played Firefox quite a few times in the past, and he is Bly on steroids, man. Like, I believe that his computer crashes if the game goes past the 4-minute mark. So a lot of crazy things happen in the first 3.5 minutes, and those kind of builds in the past. I know it's a bit of a cliche, right, to mention Neep struggling with all-ins, but Firefox is pretty wild, man. I really wonder how that series is going to play out.
Neeb has been one of those players that has occasionally succumbed to those hyper-aggressive Zerg strategies. Cicada comes to mind, aka Volt, aka like his 8 other names that he's gone by. But yeah, it's definitely something that's happened before. So check that out on the other stream. This game, man. You know what's actually such a sad thing is that Silky has had an identity crisis lately about his name because he feels like he's confused so often with the Chinese Silky that I think it was on a day minutes after he had just lost a tournament, he started getting tags from people saying, "Hey, congrats on qualifying for such event," because the Chinese Silky had just qualified for a bunch of events. So Silky, the North American Silky, has actually been thinking about changing his name. I think that's the saddest thing because, you know, he's finally starting to make a name for himself. Now he's sitting here thinking about changing it.
It's a little sad, but I wouldn't say it's too late yet, right? Like, if Silky actually goes 7-0 in this group, then I think after that, it's going to be very sad. But if you do it right here, right now, I mean, if Special could have done it after we have known him as Major for like the previous 12 years, then I definitely think Silky can still do it. And I can actually understand the frustration of that kind of stuff happening. There's another example where we have a super quick lair, by the way, on the side of Scarlett. That's ridiculously quick. But yeah, there is also the Swedish Winter who lives in Japan, I believe, or Taiwan, or Bangkok. I don't know, or Thailand. I mean, I don't know where he lives. I think in Japan right now.
He lives in Japan.
And it's so annoying to play that guy because he always plays NA ladder, and then people are like, "Oh, is Ronnie playing this Winter?" And this guy is really good, right? So he beats me pretty often. And I'm like, "Damn it, mate! Can you please change your name?" You know, everybody thinks I'm losing to Winter all the time. It's really this stinks. So I know that. Anyway, let's start build orders as we have Scarlett with her super quick lair and +1 melee actually being researched at the front.
Oh, okay. Are you thinking that this might be like a Nidus worm with +1 melee to get out a bunch of lings? But
no, you don't Nidus with +1 melee, Ravi. That's just crazy talk. I think it's just for some good old Spire play. And the roach one is kind of a fake, making it seem like these are just +1 missile attack roaches, you know, nothing to worry about. Then suddenly lings and mutas and +1 melee. It's good.
I realized I was looking at Silky's base and I thought she only has 1 gas. How she can't be going for mutas on 1 gas, but then I realized I was looking at the wrong base. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, going for the Mutalist. This has actually been catching on a lot more, right? I feel like we've been seeing more Zerg players who've been going for 2-base Spire lately.
But the 2-base Spire with the super quick +1 melee, I don't want to say it's uncommon or we haven't seen it, but most of the time it's just quick Spire and then the upgrades come a little bit later. This +1 melee I think is going to be real quick. It's important for Silky to put the pieces together as quickly as possible, because at this point I'm not sure if he's really 100% certain of what he's going up against, right? This could also be a Bly build. It could have been like some roaches with missile attacks and a Nidus. It could have been a lot of things, so it's important for Silky to understand that this is quick Spy. This is actually a perfect moment for these links to show up, and that's an immediate cancel and a kill on the drone. Solid start for Silky.
Yeah, gonna feel really good about that. All these lings just gonna be sitting around saying, okay, well, you gotta be doing something behind this. Your third base definitely was coming up pretty late. So Silky just starting up some more roaches, has +1 missile attack finishing up now. I mean, no major reactions just yet to potential for Spire. We've just really seen Silky continue to drone, get up more roaches, and not really get up any spores or anything.
All right, I'm gonna be crazy, okay? I want Scarlett to take the base with all the rich Vespian gases. Oh, come on, Scarlett.
Safe to?
Well, +1 Zerglings and Miras are out. It doesn't get much safer than that.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I'm crazy, Robbie. Don't take everything I say serious. I'm guessing NA StarCraft with you. Come on, let me be a baboon.
It's okay. Well, the mutas have definitely been revealed now with the Mutalisk going after that Overseer. Infestation Pit has been on the way now for a little bit for Silky. And that's a pretty interesting one. Is he just planning to go straight into Infestors or something?
Could also be just for a quick hive, because Vipers are absolutely amazing, right, against Mutas.
That's true, yeah.
Well, quick Infestors wouldn't be the worst thing in the world either. Fungo is obviously super good against both Zerglings and Mutas. We'll see.
Okay, well, for now, he's just going to have to rely on Spore Crawlers plus the fairly large Queen count that he's been building on up as he's adding on his 7th. But until then, he's going to be losing a few Overlords, losing some of that map vision. This is the downside of that style.
Patch Engine Glance is indeed being researched, so it's going to be for some very quick Infestor play, and that's actually kind of cool. That's not a response I see super often against Mutas. I think Scarlett is also kind of known for the fact that once she starts to make Mutas, she likes to keep making Mutas for a long time, and then eventually we get some massive Ling Bane action to go with it.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, especially, Scarlett is always known for her Mutalisk play and being able to really, really do a great job controlling them, finding every little opening, and kind of being a master of the ZVZ Muta versus Muta style.
Oh, those queens are very exposed, and the Lings have upgrades, so a couple of transfusions are not going to save these queens. The Zerglings can run in now as well. This is a disaster for Silky.
Oh no, he's going to end up losing the queen in the main base, and soon thereafter, I expect a lot of drones to be going on down. The roaches are going to start making their way over, but the Mutalists are still actually doing more damage. They're taking out gas geysers on the natural expansion, while the Lings are finally getting cleaned up. But as soon as Scarlett actually kills off both those gas geysers, I mean, there's still not that much defending the third base. There's going to be one queen popping out. The Mutalists can easily handle that.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what the worst part here is, if it's losing the 13 drones, losing the gases, or if it's losing the queens. I think the queens are the biggest deal. The roaches are going to find this forward expand of Scarlett, so Silky might be able to get a cancel on this, but obviously he's going to pay the price by losing quite a few of these roaches, and Scarlett... Oh, okay, Burrow actually finished up already. Overseer is coming in, though.
Tunneling Claws. Oh, okay. Starting to move away, but no, Overseer does end up catching them. The roaches will do their best job to split up and snipe off the drone. Hey, at least taking something out on the way.
Zergling counterattack is pretty devastating, though. These Lings are feisty. They've got +2 already. So a queen just finally hatched, but this queen is going to get picked up as well. A few more drones are going to go down, and Ravi, Fungo is great, but this is a disaster for Silky.
Oh, yeah. Having the fungal Zerglings is possibly just one of the worst feelings, I'm sure. But hey, at least uses some creative burrow play to keep those drones alive for a little bit longer. Still ends up losing 10. And the Mutas are actually on the left-hand side over here, sniping off more Overlords that Silky had poached forward and are going to be looking for more damage. Silky needs amazing fungals. That's a decent start for a fungal, but just one, it's not going to be enough.
No, but I don't think chain fungling there is really worth it, because the mutas were already split up. So yeah, you can probably chain fungal like 4 or 5 mutas, but then all your infestors are out of energy. So I think Silky made the correct decision there to not continue with that attempt.
Oh, definitely. I think you do need some sort of supporting units there, and he's getting up the Hydras now. So those are going to be supporting units. So when you do catch even 4 or so mutas with the fungal, that's when you just slow them down. It's not necessarily even just about the damage. It's about allowing the Hydras to finally catch those mutas and start punishing them. But mutas swing into the main base. They're going to actually go after the Spore, then the Queen, then the drones. And you can actually even snipe off a gas guys before escaping out safely.
More Lings running towards the base at 6 o'clock as well, as it's completely exposed again. A Hydra gets picked off. The Spores could actually go down here, and that would be very bad because there really isn't that much anti-air. Banelings are going to blow up the drones that have been burrowed there. Scarlett with some amazing plays. Scarlett is running all over Silky here in game 1.
Yeah, this game 1 is all but a kind of finished up series right now. The Lings get in again, and they actually get a surround on the Infestors too. Infestors managed to burrow at the last second, and they did manage to get a fungal off, but That is, again, just not the way that Silky wants this to play out. Roddy, Hive is on the way, and I feel like this game is already Scarlett's to lose.
Yeah, no, this game is super over. I'm actually kind of blown away by how convincing this game 1 victory here is for Scarlett. I felt pretty good and confident about my prediction of Scarlett winning this series, even 2-0, but I expected the games to be close. It really felt that despite the fact that Scarlett lost her third base the first time, yeah, it was a cancel, but that's still kind of annoying, right? If you're trying to play Muda Link, because you need that base to be up and running. This has been a super convincing game by Scarlett.
Baneling's going to come rolling on in. Funny enough, this does mean that these are all of the Baneling, or a lot of the Banelings, and all of the Lings right now that Scarlett has. But Scarlett still does have 23 Banelings on her side of the map. So a base may go down over here. But if those Banelings connect with the Hydras, oh no, Silky's army is just going to disappear in a blink of an eye. GG.
You know, even when a game is super over economically in a macro way, as long as there's an army that can trade well against the other army, I learned last week that it's never over until it's truly over. I don't know if you caught Thermal against Clem, game 1 of the European finals. That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, right? So when I just saw this army of Silky in the end, I'm like, well, this game is super over. But, like, imagine a perfect Fungo on the Veins, and then the Mudas kind of like they mess up, they disengage against the Hydras. It was like, maybe there's a 1% chance, but no, it wasn't. That honestly was a flawless performance by Scarlett. She looked amazing.
Yeah, and all off the back of a really good start, I would say. So Silky was playing from behind for a lot of that game after just how the beginning kind of shaped up. Silky had done a nice job like canceling the third and everything, but once those Lings started moving across the map, killing off the third base or doing so much damage there, like it was just always going to be an uphill battle for Silky.
Yeah, I think losing the queens is just such a key moment in a game like that, right? Because the Mudas always have a tough time, like really finding that much damage if there are 6, 7 queens. And don't forget, queens get more powerful over time. They gather up more energy. Then even diving on a spore becomes questionable, because if queens are nearby and they drop a couple of those transfusions, you could end up losing 1 or 2 Mutalisks. Scarlett wasn't that much richer than Silky was in that phase in the game. So those are very hard calls to make normally as a Muda player. But once you get the queens, well, the world is yours, and the world truly was hers in game 1. That was awesome by Scarlett.
Absolutely. Well, we get to move on to Everdream for game number 2. Now, for the European section, we're talking a lot about 12 pools and everything. Roddy, maybe we see a 12 pool. I don't think we see a 12 pool drone pool. The North American region has perfected the wall-offs. I feel like they have not had these same issues some of the Europeans have had.
Well, I think you're onto something, as we can already see the first drones being built on both sides over here. Let's get it on. Everdream, round 2, top right side. We're looking at the main base of Silky.
And down in the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the red Zerg player, the Queen of Blades. She is Scarlett.
You know, one of the main reasons why I felt really confident about Scarlett winning this series, and even though it's not over yet, right? As I say, it's a super good game 1 for Scarlett, but this is a really important one. Since Silky already defeated Neep and Scarlett lost to Neep, it actually becomes really important for her to win this series. Otherwise, breaking into the top 2 is going to be very difficult, right? Then she basically needs Neep to lose another series, or Silky to suddenly start messing up after he already took down Neep and Scarlett. I just don't think Scarlett would ever let that happen, and that's why I felt really good about Scarlett going into this best of 3.
Scarlett will actually begin to try now. Yeah. I know what you mean, though. It is extremely important to create the kind of Pokemon starter triangle where Silky beats Neeb, Neeb beats Scarlett, and Silky has to lose to Scarlett now in order for things to kind of be equalized as a 1-1-1 situation. But all right, this game, we do still just have normal openings, hash gas pool and everything, so we're not getting any kind of early aggression for Everdream, which is a nice change of pace for the ZVZ.
Yeah, I do think it's important to mention that the initial build orders worked out very well, I think, for Scarlett. The build is a little bit greedy and will absolutely die against certain roach attacks, but the way that Silky was playing it means it's actually always going to be good for Scarlett. But Silky did get an immediate cancel on the hatch, and that's kind of like these little victories you look for if you're opening up with a safe defensive roach opening. So it was playable. It's just it went wrong when the queens got caught out in the open and the Zerglings were able to surround them. If that didn't happen, we would have been casting a completely different game that's probably still going on at this point.
Yeah. All right. Well, for game number 2, I feel like Scarlett typically has 2 different modes. It's either she's hyper aggressive or she's hyper macro focused. And I mean, that last game, I would definitely argue she was on the more aggressive side, going for the 2-base +1 melee upgrade and getting a bunch of Zerglings to flood across the map, going for the mutas and getting really aggressive with them. I feel like usually she tends to oscillate a little bit between the two, though. And I feel like we might be in for a little bit more of a macro game, but ready to be proven wrong.
Yeah. I mean, in Scarlett, her defense, she was going up to 4 bases, was stacking up, had +2 melee, and was even taking my favorite base on all the maps for StarCraft 2 right now, the one with the 2 rich Vespian guys. Unfortunately, we didn't really see it come into play, but I love it. That's just the 4th base to take, okay?
Well, you know what, Kev? If I were up as much as Scarlett was at that point, I think I would also be taking the map as well.
Oh, you should take it sooner, Rafi. Trust me, try it in your latter games. Do you know how many Dark Templars you can start warping in once you have those 2 rich Vespian guys?
Kev?
You're going to have a ball.
You've sold me. I'll take it, but I'll probably take it on my opponent's side. Because that's the last place they check.
That's fine too. I've done it all, and I love it. All right, we see Baneling Nest on both sides. We see the Evolution Chambers being thrown down. So far, it indeed seems macro, but on Everdream, I'm never really willing to call it a macro game until I see 4 bases up and running, right? Because it's so easy to get Zerglings, Banelings, and Roaches to the other side of the map.
Yeah, I think one thing we can at least say is that both players morph their Banelings in at home, which usually indicates that they're going to be a bit more defensive because sending and walking your Banelings across the map can be a bit of a dicey thing to do. It's just a lot of area where your opponent's Lings can maybe get a snipe off on some of your Banelings and take some damage there. So Silky is going to be finding a few of Scarlett's Lings poking in at his 3rd base. Gonna have to defend against this. Losing 1 drone, not ideal, but doesn't want to lose the 2nd one for sure.
Wow, that was a good save.
Yeah.
I actually could have sworn that drone was going to go down as well. Ah, that's nice. Seems like we're heading into a very even mid-game. Now, Silky showed us last game that he would have loved to play some Burrowed Roaches. I don't know if that's a response against the Mutas, or if that's something that Silky just kind of likes to do in general.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I haven't gotten to see as much of his ZVZs lately, so I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see what his other game plans look like for the rest of this series. Now, also, Melee and everything else is pretty evened up in terms of everything that both these players are going for. Only major difference I would point out right now is that we do have Silky going for that Overlord speed upgrade right now, morphing into a few more Banelings at a point where, you know, Roach production is usually starting to begin. I do wonder if he's got something planned, some Overlord Baneling drops or something coming out soon.
Yeah. No, I was about to go on about the same thing. I was like, it's all similar, besides the fact that we have Overlord speed. Could also just be a couple of Roaches in the main base, right? Like Roach play can be very annoying to deal with as well. And Scarlett actually ended up losing a couple of drones to the random Banelings that tried to connect, but 2 drones going down is obviously not a very big deal. The first Dropper Lord is morphing for Silky, and I'm trying to find it, and I'm struggling. Okay, it's in the natural, and it does seem like that has to be for Banelings. No. Yeah. It's going to be Roaches.
I'm not sure. We do have a Spire, by the way, coming out.
Wow. In the left top side. I love it.
Not only is it extremely hidden, but Silky's also starting up a Spore Crawler in his main. He's starting up multiple spores. He's got a read on this, and I have no idea how he does. Amazing.
Maybe it's just Scarlett, her reputation of being a Muta player in this matchup.
Yeah, could very well be. I mean, she does really, really love Mutalisks in general. Well, for now, we're going to see the Overseer come on in over here from Silky. He did already finish up the spores, so it's not like he's going to scout the lack of Spire and then decide to cancel it or anything, or cancel the spores. He's just massing a bunch of these Roaches, making more Ravagers. The weird thing is that with the Spire finishing up, the Mutas come out, and then there's just this awkward point where you might have been planning some kind of move out, but now you just have to hold it back in. You don't really want to go for that move out, but you might be actually hitting in that narrow little window before the Mutas come out.
I'm afraid that window is gone. But 3 Overlords can actually die here at once. Can we take a look at Silky's Ravages real quick? Oh, Okay, he got the double kill there. That would have been very satisfying. Meanwhile, a couple of banelings connected with some drones on the right side for Silky as 6 drones went down.
Scarlett's
this is really
the
bad.
The baneling drop coming into Scarlett's third is going to be moving in. The queen is there. The drones are pulled in time, and it looks like Scarlett's going to have a good defense there.
At least this baneling drop is going to scout the Mutas, but I'm afraid it's already a little bit too late, Ravi. It's real. Oh, the drone. All super clumped up. Somehow only 2 drones go down. This is bad for Silky, man. Silky wants to attack right now, realizing like, hey, I've got way more roaches. That means I'm doing good. Wait a minute. That means you're going for Mutas. The Mutas are out. They're going to sit on top of these Ravages immediately. Silky needs to do devastating amounts of damage here, and he's shooting at an extractor, Ravi. You don't want to be firing at extractors over here.
Oh, that's less than ideal. Silky is going to do what I think is the right call, which is splitting up some of these roaches, going after drones while spreading out the rest of his roaches over to the natural. Still killing off a lot of Scarlett's army. I have to say, despite the fact that Silky has obviously just been losing a ton of roaches to the Mutalisk, he is still killing a lot of the army supply for Scarlett and starting to kill more and more of these drones. Might even be able to get a hatchery over here with some roaches.
Yeah, if a hatchery goes down, as a couple of roaches did make it into the main base, then I'd say it was all pretty good. It's going to get awfully close, but I think the hatch at 9 o'clock will go down, as the Mutas were just a little too far out of position. At this point, you might want to kill that extractor to give yourself the assist and then the slam dunks from earlier in that fight. Overall, I still think it's bad for Silky, but I mean, up 12 workers. Hydra's already on the way. More spore crawlers going down. If Silky stabilizes in the next minute, which actually should be very doable, it's pretty damn play. It's pretty good, actually.
I agree, but it's also going to come down a lot to positioning over here, right, Ruddy? I mean, there is not exactly creep spread on this ramp over here between that low ground base and the natural. And there are still more Mutas than there are Hydras. So if the Hydras are ever slightly out of position here, if they don't have the support of those queens, Mutas might be able to get some good damage done.
I gotta say, it's better for Silky than I expected. I really thought that the Muta timing was perfect for Scarlett, and obviously a couple of drones were gonna go down, but I did not expect the base to go down. And it really was only because Silky managed to get a couple of roaches into the main base that pulled the Muta super far out of position. So far, the Muta's not finding too much damage yet. I love the quick lurker then on the side of Silky, because that's obviously ultimately where you want to go, because if you just stay on roaches and hydras, banelings become a terrifying unit to deal with.
I think we kind of discovered a little bit of that last game, and Scarlett is going to go for a similar follow-up over here as well. She's got 16 banelings already, 17 on the way. Roddy, there's no bane speed, and that concerns because, okay, it's finally just now getting started, but Silky's already at the front door.
Yep, I was looking at the exact same thing. You don't often see 20 banelings on the map already without baneling speed. I don't know if Scarlett can possibly ever defend this base. Maybe if baneling speed was done, yeah, then you can connect with the Hydras. But with slow banelings, that just seems a little bit unlikely. The Hydras are a little bit clumped up though, and the baneling count is high. Mutas are going to settle for the Queens for now, while the banelings try to connect with the Hydras. And I gotta say, Scarlett did amazing there with slow banelings. Are you kidding me?
I am stupefied right now that somehow Scarlett's going to be able to push this back for a little bit, but Silky is remaking 11 Hydras right now, so he should have enough to at least deal with the Mutas for a little bit, but by the time he's able to do that and start pushing out again, well, the banelings are going to be remade, and baneling speed is going to be done.
Well, the Muta count is super high. It's high enough to dive on top of sport crawlers at this point, and this is where you start losing a few Hydras left and right as well. I can't believe how well that fight went for Scarlett. Without baneling speed, no way. I thought with bane speed, like, yeah, I think Scarlett can defend. Without, I didn't see that fight play out the way it did. Honestly, very impressive by Scarlett. Maybe Silky should have split up a little bit more. I genuinely don't know.
Well, lurkers might be able to make the difference with this next defense or attack, whatever it ends up being. It looks like it's going to be a defense. Roach is going to absorb a lot of the initial baneling connections. The lurkers massacre the banelings, and now the Mutas trying to fight versus those Hydras for a second as they do manage to snipe off the hatchery, but now I think Silky is looking for blood. He's killed off a lot of the banelings. He's got the lurkers with him, but needs to get into a good position to set them up.
I actually love that Scarlett moves the banelings forward there just to force Silky to retreat because Scarlett knows losing that base is a very big deal in ZVZ. That rich Vespian geyser is super important, and now Scarlett will keep her 4th base up and running while Silky was forced to turn around again. Scarlett is honestly playing some amazing ZVZ over here.
She is playing excellent StarCraft right now. Silky is going to be adding on the Infestation Pit as he also tries to deal with the bailing run by Zakuman in. Oh, even though I feel like he split up pretty well, 9 drones still end up falling. And Scarlett is on the prowl. She's looking for not only creep tubers to slow down these Hydras, making them have a harder time to catch up with the Mutas, but just looking for any opportunity to sneak around, to kill off a Spore Crawler here or there, to snipe the hatchery. And here we go. She's coming in again. The Bailings, oh, they're taking a lot of damage from the Lurkers, but still a lot of them managed to connect on that Hydra clump.
How did so many Bailings survive the 4 Lurkers? The Lurker shot is kind of missing, and I think that is going to be game over.